This is a case analysis on Uber, created by Viola and Tettey. Over the course of the last decade, there was a variety of innovative businesses and startups, providing customers with completely new services and resulting changes in industries and economies. This case focuses on Uber, a pioneer in the sharing economy, an international transportation technology corporation which operates in over 633 countries around the world. Uber Technologies is a well-known provider of transportation and food delivery mobile apps, which introduced Uber's customers to new levels of connection between the transportation industry and modern technology. The company was founded in March of 2009 and was valued at $40 billion by 2015. Uber is a highly innovative company which affects growth and development of multiple industries. It requires a closer look and makes an interesting case for research. The first thing to know about any organization are its mission and vision statements, which reflect and summarize the company's goals and objectives and provide customers with a deeper understanding of a company's spirit. While mission statements focus on a present moment and inform customers about desired levels of performance, vision statements concentrate on a future, describing changes in industry and society which an organization hopes to cause. When it comes to Uber, the company provides customers with a broad and abstract, yet inspirational mission statement. Transportation as reliable as running water, everywhere, for everyone. Regarding their vision statement, the company did not announce a concrete one. However, the CEO, Travis Kalanick, says this: "Just imagine a city where traffic speeds along smoothly and quietly, even at rush hour. This is my dream." Uber's strategy allows for a clear understanding of Uber's objective: a complete transformation of urban traffic and transportation industry in general, along with making such services more and more available and affordable. In order to achieve such objectives, Uber developed its corporate-level strategy, which provides a simple way for managing its transportation services with the use of its application that customers are able to acquire free of charge. The application allows for a seamless connection between the drivers and riders looking for rides from their current location to their desired location for a lower fee in comparison to taxi services and other forms of transportation. Uber focuses on a cost leadership strategy, which could also present some challenges because it requires them to operate at lowest price. Uber's corporate-level strategy aims at tackling the problems riders usually face from the monopoly-governed taxi industry: its unsatisfactory infrastructure in a number of cities, the poor customer service experience, taxis arriving late, the vehicle cleanliness not being to a satisfactory level for drivers, and refusing to accept other forms of payment. Uber decided to help customers avoid all the hassle they would previously face and provide them with a comfortable and quality experience in many ways, by making ride-hailing a stress-free process with the use of its application, easy payment process, and also allowing riders and drivers to provide ratings and feedback of their experiences. Uber's strategy and way of operating requires the company to pay extraordinary attention to human resources, as they affect the company's reputation and demand on Uber services too. At the same time, in order to go with the mission statement and make its services as widespread as possible, the company has to provide minimal requirements for becoming an Uber driver. As a result, one needs only a car, smartphone, and required documents to start working as an Uber driver. The barriers to enter the company are as low as they can be. Uber has a strict rating system and community guidelines, which represents company's code of conduct. According to Uber's guidelines, the company supports basic ethics and stands against any sort of violence and discrimination, as well as imposes high requirements for safety and quality of services. If Uber drivers or riders break the company's rules, it gets reported and they lose their access to the app permanently. When it comes to management, until recently, Uber was ruled by its founder Travis Kalanick. He officially left as CEO in June of 2017 and was replaced by Dara Khosrowshahi in August. When it comes to the board of directors, according to Business Insider, Uber is currently being run by a 14-person committee comprised of those who used to be directly reporting to Kalnick. According to the New York Times, Uber is currently going through a period of uncertainty and corporate governance crisis. However, Kalnick assured journalists that recent board meetings have allowed Uber to fix inner problems and develop a new plan to further the company's growth. In 2009, Uber entered multiple industries simultaneously. Taxi service, food delivery service, and mobile app market became fields of the company's operations. When it comes to the industry and its characteristics, Michael Porter's 5 forces analysis assists in analyzing of the levels of competition and business strategy development that shape every industry and help determine an industry weakness and strength. Potential threat of new market entrants. Relatively low amount of initial capital required, ease of services swap, legal issues, and Uber's inability to prevent any sort of imitation make threat of new competitors a strong force. The threat of substitution. Despite the fact that numerous companies can quickly provide a replacement for Uber services, a constant threat of substitutes is currently a weak force in the case for Uber. Supplier bargaining power. As it was mentioned before, Uber drivers, who can be considered company suppliers, have great effect on companies' performance and reputation. Thus, they have high bargaining power in the operations of Uber. Threat of buyers. Due to a variety of alternatives, Uber's riders are highly sensitive to price variations. This fact, combined with rising number ownership of private cars, makes buyers' bargaining power an active force. The degree of competition. Uber is indeed a dominant force in the rideshare industry. However, there is a need for improvement of its innovative strategies to gain a competitive edge. The transport sector, especially the U.S., has many alternatives and competing entities. According to the official board website, Uber's organizational structure is a clear example of a functional structure type, wherein people are grouped as per their area of specialization. While functional organization structure allows to group employees by their knowledge and skill to avoid duplication of work and maintain clear hierarchy, there are several disadvantages. Each department has a self-centered mentality, and communication problems are likely to occur between departments. Thus, such structure allows Uber to maintain strong corporate culture, company vision, clear corporate strategy, and communicate these to all the departments in order to ensure synergistic work. At the same time, it allows Uber to keep clear task separation, which allows for more precise operational planning. Despite the company's popularity and growing number of customers, the Financial Times claims Uber to be the most loss-making private company in tech history. Since Uber has not published any financial reports, it's hard to analyze the company's financial state. However, according to the financial information Uber shared with Bloomberg, they more than doubled gross bookings in 2016 to $20 billion. Net revenue was $6.5 billion, while adjusted net losses were $2.8 billion, excluding the China business, which was sold last summer. Taking a look at Uber's SWOT analysis, we see the threats are bad publicity due to low profit margins, new legal regulations, increasing number of fraud and scandals, overvaluation and overinvestment, decreased prices due to increased competition. Opportunities: cheaper electric cars, expansion to suburban areas, bigger number of Uber drivers, increased valuation and growing investors' interest, and additional services. Some weaknesses: the idea is easy to imitate, lack of real connection between the company and its drivers, unpredictable business model, privacy concerns, and incentive to remain with Uber is pretty low. The strengths: well-recognized brand, high standards of service, low operational cost, very little competition, relatively low prices. Besides being claimed the most loss-making private company in tech history, and being close to bankruptcy with $2.8 billion in net losses, Uber has one major financial related problem: initial public offering. The exact date of Uber's IPO has not been announced yet. However, according to Business Insider, they are looking at some time around 2019. Thus, the risk can be defined as a short-term one. The problem is that Uber has to pay extra attention to its IPO due to poor market condition, generally weak economy, and the company's own poor financial performance. All these factors in combination not only make an IPO harder for Uber, but also may delay it.
So Uber can be considered as a question mark. Now, Uber is not a typical question mark because although it has um, a large consumption of cash, it has been blowing lots of money in its quest for growth and to achieve market share. It is also a large it has a large share of the market. Typically, question marks would have low market shares, and they generate so much um, expenditure because they do want to increase their market share. Now, Uber is in a very fierce quest for market share, just as a question mark would be, because overall, if you look at the larger market for rideshare and potentially people that could be using uh, the rideshare app, it's not really where it should be, and so on the whole, it is a question mark. Now, question marks can either become dogs or stars over time, and it looks like because of Uber's um, dominance in terms of, if you look at other its relation to other uh, rideshare companies, it does look more likely to become a star over time, where it would be generating good cash and be in front of the market at the same time. So the rideshare industry within the United States, as we know it, is a fairly recent one, and within the space of about 12 years, companies such as Uber and Lyft and Curb have very quickly come to dominate what we know and how we understand rideshare to be. Now, a fun fact is that the actual practice of ride sharing has goes way back when drivers of horse-drawn buggies would offer rides in London. Of course, now we have it again as we know it with mobile phones and GPS technology and apps. Um, Now, in the form as we know it, Uber is the clear leader of the industry, but it is looking over its shoulder at Lyft and Curb, who are seeking to gain as much market share as possible. Now, Lyft is the second biggest competitor. It's still way behind Uber, but it has been gaining fast, and it has been gaining mostly because in the last year or so, Uber has been going through a lot of different issues, as we have talked about earlier in this presentation, um, and it is trying to Uber is trying to recover from this, but there's also Curb. Curb is a little different from Uber and Lyft in that it uses um, professional licensed taxi drivers, and so in a sense, the company is giving the taxi industry an opportunity to catch up with Uber and Lyft, who kind of disrupted the industry by upgrading the taxi hailing experience. There are also minor players who are looking at very niche areas within the rideshare area, the rideshare industry, and they include Juno, which operates currently only in New York, Get, and Via. Via is New York based, and it currently only operates in 3 cities in the U.S. It has grown really fast, but it confines its operations to defined limits within a city rather than in and around the city as Uber and Lyft do. And the other difference about Via is also they are all shared rides, whereas Uber gives the opportunity for you to have the whole car to yourself. All Via rides are shared rides. and so they're able to price rides far less than Uber or Lyft. So for a certain type of customer, they are the perfect solution, and therefore they have differentiated themselves as low cost leaders in comparison to Uber and Lyft. So on the global scene, the competition for dominance of the global rideshare industry is even more fierce, and Uber is facing a lot more competition there than it is at home, and it's not winning as clearly as it is at home. Now, Uber's most aggressive global rival is Chinese Didi Chuxing, and Uber actually seeded its efforts in dominating that market, the Chinese market, about a year ago. It went head to head in a long battle and cost Uber millions and millions of dollars, and it finally gave up and realized it couldn't win because the Didi Chuxing had clear home advantage, and so they eventually decided to give up and rather took a 20% stake in Didi Chuxing instead of competing with them. So that was one case of, if you can beat them, you join them, or you take a 20% stake in their venture. Another rival in the Middle East that Uber also faces strong competition with is Careem, and this competition is the battlefront for this rivalry is Middle East and Africa. So it's based in Dubai, and they were started in 2012, and they're currently valued at $1 billion, and they serve 80 cities in 12 countries in Middle East and Africa and in Europe. Careem has actually entered a strategic partnership with Didi Chuxing, which is Uber's other rival, and therefore it competes. It's gotten into pole position to compete even more fiercely with Uber. Another rival that Uber faces on the global scene is Grab, and this primarily operates in cities across Malaysia, Indonesia, Thailand, Vietnam, and the Philippines. They also got into a collaboration with Didi Chuxing. So Didi Chuxing is really making waves across the globe in terms of ride sharing. And Grab raised $2 billion in July in a financing round that was funded by Didi Chuxing and SoftBank. It's interesting to note that SoftBank also is currently working on preparing a purchase of Uber shares. Ola is another longtime competitor on the global scene of Uber, and it's based in India, which is a huge market, as we all know, and it operates in nearly 100 cities throughout India, and is currently the leader in India's ride-sharing industry. I'm tempted to say it's the Uber of India. It's currently valued at around $3 billion. And just like Didi has the home advantage in China, Ola definitely has that home field advantage ahead of Uber. So other notable mentions are Yandex Taxi, which is in Russia, Taxify, which is also another company which operates throughout Europe, Africa, and Asia. There's also Easy Taxi, which is throughout South and Central America. Gett, Gett, which is an Israeli ride-hailing company, which operates in Israel, Russia, and the United Kingdom. So currently, Uber's main source of revenue from its main business is, offering riders rides that are given by its network of drivers. And so the main source of revenue comes from the fares that are given, that are charged to the riders, and Uber takes a cut from this fare as a fee. So this is Uber's main business right now, and it's not too surprising because it's still in the growth phase of its life cycle, and so it's not too surprising that it only has one. Lots of startups have one thing that they initially start out having as their primary thing, and then they diversify as they grow and seek to maximize shareholders' value. And so key to Uber's growth, because of how it has defined itself over time, would be to use that transportation network, diversify its business using that network, and it has actually started to take steps to do so. So about a couple of years ago, Uber started Uber Eats, which adds to the rides, passengers getting from point A to point B, adds a new feature where customers can order food. So basically a delivery service. Customers order food from a restaurant or some other place of their choice, and Uber drivers go pick up the food and deliver. And so this gives an added source of income. So Uber is now getting the income both from the restaurant or the place of business where they're offering this service, where they're enjoying this delivery service, and through this, Uber has another way to gain more money by leveraging its transportation network. So over time, Uber will have to look for more opportunities where it can keep the drivers busy, because one of its drivers' complaints was the amount of money that they earn. So as Uber grows and diversifies, it will need to use such creative ways to help drivers earn more, basically by doing more things on the road, and therefore earning more for each hour that they're out there on the road. Now, network effects will also be key in gaining a competitive advantage, because as Uber proliferates, it becomes easier and easier for in terms of reliability, because the more people are used to using Uber, the more they're able to offer their service, because more drivers are out there on the road. So if you call an Uber, the more it is in the market, the more drivers there are out there, they're able to offer a more reliable service, because you can get an Uber in 2 to 4 minutes as opposed to maybe 16 minutes, which is what it would be in a place where Uber isn't very popular. So as they grow, they will take advantage of these network effects and become more popular and more easily available. So the important thing here for Uber's business strategy is to make sure that every new business that it opens, or every new channel that it uses to grow or diversify its business, it makes sure that at the business level, each of these businesses will have objectives that support its corporate objectives as defined by the board. And so what this means is if the business managers of let's say the Uber delivery unit choose to have certain objectives, whatever they choose to do should be in line with the overall vision of the board and the mission of the company as a whole. And they will also need, as a matter of urgency, to maintain a high level of performance, a high level of efficiency in each of these different units, so that they contribute to the overall growth and high performance of the company as a whole. So the future of Uber is uncertain. We know for sure that it's a very interesting company. It's a company that has taught us a lot about the possibilities of the future, what potentially transportation can look like in the future, where we might be using less of our own vehicles. We've certainly looked at the possibility of autonomous vehicles, and Uber is showing us that there's probably other ways of getting around apart from owning your own vehicle. Now, as a company, we cannot tell where exactly Uber is going to go. We certainly wish them well, but on one hand, it can either become the most successful transportation innovator that we've seen for a long time, or it can continue to make losses and be very, very highly valued but never make any money. So it's right now almost looking like it's at an inflection point and it can go anywhere. So Uber will certainly need to find some innovative ways to turn its market dominance, because in the United States and certainly in the world, it is a major player in the rideshare industry. It has all the name recognition. It's ahead in certain areas of the world, and so we'll need to find a way to turn this dominance into profitability really quickly. It is a young company, and as expected, there are some obstacles that it's facing that others who are following in its wake will probably not face, and so that is expected. That it has been going through certain ups and downs, especially regulatory issues and even internal culture issues, and its future will ultimately depend on how the board and management choose to handle its obstacles that it faces, and also the corporate strategy that they choose to adopt. With a lot of things, you really do not know what the right answer is until it has been tried, and so it will ultimately depend on the management and the board making the right decisions for Uber's future. So thank you for listening to our presentation, and we hope you've enjoyed this introduction to Uber. We certainly enjoyed learning about them. Thank you.